Hi, Judd. This is Ginger with the Overdrive Show. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well.
Good. I'm so excited to talk to you. I got to see the film already, so I'm I'm excited. I love being able
Good.
to. I like that I can screen the movie first, so I can have a little bit more than just the everyday questions about the movie. But
Sure.
man, what a film! I mean, I have so many things to ask you, and just thank you for taking the time to talk to us and just give us a little bit more background on the movie, which is available now. It's out on DVD and you can download it, so it's exciting. It's already out, so that's one of those processes in a film where you're just so happy when it finally gets to get to the viewers, right?
That's right.
Well,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's such a beautiful film. It has a very like layered story of emotions between forgiveness and like second chances, parent child relationships, even foster care, which rarely gets touched on in any film, but especially faith films, I haven't really seen it. So, and a great cast, like very talented Andrew Chaney and Faith Renee Kennedy. They had such a great chemistry, and she is so adorable. Gary Graham, Cameron Arnett, Roberto Amaya, like just really great actors. And regardless of your budget, you really, if you have that, you can carry out the message of the film. And so, why these particular people? That did you have them already in mind when you did the film?
Well, great question. Yeah. I mean, basically, no, we did auditions and we kind of knew the types of characters that we were looking for. And then when we started looking, we came across Gary Graham, who just had a long career and
Right.
seasoned actor, and so he fit the role of Jack. And then Andrew Cheney, was a good-looking guy, and we liked the work he had done in Beyond the Mask, and so he brought such a unique portrayal of Sean, and then Faith Renee, we did auditions, and she just knocked it out of the park. And she just beyond anybody else, so pretty amazing.
Yeah, she was so adorable. I mean, and but believable too. You just felt so bad for her, and but even Andrew Chaney's character, because he was. I think you picked a great guy because he was very charming, but you can see how people who are charming, the ego can really get in the way, and pride comes before fall. I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's truly what happens for him. And I think there's so many different stories I related to, different situations, family members, my own childhood with my father, like a little bit of everything. And I think that's when it starts to really impact someone, to make them want to make, whether it's a small change or it's coming to know the father. It's that kind of impact that films have, that we really need that message in film, because film is something that hasn't caught up. Music and Christian music, like it's really, you can get your music out there, but it's really, the faith films really still need really good films like this that have great acting. And I'm a big film buff, so I'm really hard to surprise. So I will tell people, I was glad that you surprised me. Like, I thought certain things were going to go one way, and then the one of the most tragic moments, I literally just let out a huge gasp. My son was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "No, truly, like this just happened on this movie," and I'm like not believing it. But that's what's so great about it. So why this particular film? How did you get to make The Champion? How did that come to you?
Well, sure. Yeah, we Champion. I was kind of praying about what I could do here in my own hometown to make a film. It wasn't. I didn't start out to make a movie that would be in Walmart or be out there across the nation. But it really was, what can I do in my own city, my own town, to reach people with the message. And so for us, there was this racetrack right up at the street, and I said, well, that sounds kind of cool. Let me go up and check it out. And when I got there, I realized there was so much energy and excitement to the track. And so I said, well, this would, make a great backdrop to the story of forgiveness. And so that's kind of how it came together. And so we just set out again to make a movie for our own town and our region, and it just sort of grew from there, and the Lord kind of kept blessing it and gave us an opportunity to be in theaters, and then now here we are on DVD. So it's been quite a journey over the past 5 years.
So yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you that, how long it had been in the making, because sometimes it's literally years for faith films to get off the ground, and so about 5 years, you said.
That's right.
Wow. So what were some of the hard aspects of making this film work and putting it together?
When people ask that,
Where do you start?
I say, yeah. Where do you start? It's raising the money. Whoa, no, it's not raising the money. It's writing the script. No, that's not hard. It's that's hard too. But it's shooting. No, that's not the hardest. So I would say it's all hard. It's a bit. It's quite an undertaking, and I like to tell people that I don't necessarily feel talented. Part of making a film is just persistence. You just continue going because it's all hard, and there's many places where you want to stop, and so you just continue going and continue pushing forward with the vision that the Lord laid upon your heart.
So I'm curious, did this was this hard emotionally for you to make? Because for me, I felt like I went on a 2-hour emotional roller coaster. I mean, I didn't know which end was up when I was done, and then I cried, I laughed, I was upset, I was mad at him for a while, and then I was just, I had these warm moments. It had, and it was constantly changing, and it kept open, like these like little layers here and there, and I didn't expect, and taking different turns, and so I was exhausted after 2 hours emotionally. I'm curious, was it the same way, and a lot more?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's hard making a film. Yeah, emotional film, and some of those scenes, the actors really pour their heart into it. And so, for me, I think where it touches me, I didn't think I realized as much, is after I watched it as a father. Some of the fatherhood moments really speak to me as a father, because am I doing everything I can to be a good father to my kids, right? In the movie, you see the story, Jack and Sean, and they're both dealing with different journeys of being a father,
Right.
Both of them being broken fathers in a different way. And so for me, it made me think about, what type of father am I being? So that's kind of where it impacted me on that level.
Yeah, Gary Graham, he pulled off that. I mean, he's been an actor for so long. I've seen him in several things, and I think he already looked broken at the beginning of the film, like before he said a word. Like he just looked like he was carrying a burden, and he just carried the film so well. And some of those last minute emotional moments with him, oh my gosh, I mean, it was so wonderful. And it's like I said, it's one of those films, like, I love that you did foster care in a positive light. There's always a negative aspect of foster care, because a home is broken. There's always something negative about foster care, because parents are separated from children, children are separated from their parents. But the way that you handled that in this movie was really unique, because it showed the positive side of my mom and dad. When growing up, had foster kids coming in and out of our home. And so for me, I was like, that was like the experience that I had. I was those two little boys, and I had these little kids that would grow up and spend, a year in my home. They might be there 6 months, and it tore me up every time somebody left. So, and then I know it did my mom. Like, it's a hard thing, but it's such an incredible service to do to, for kids. And, but the goal to be, if possible, reunite and restore. I think this whole thing has such a redemption, has so many layers of redemption on it, the race car. I mean, I'm from Texas, so give me a dirt track any day. So I understand it, because I was one of those girls going mudding when I was younger. So, and it was the goal to literally not have, one speck on you that is not covered in mud. I mean, that's the goal. But it's very exciting, and I think you have to have a catalyst like that. You have to have some kind of theme that it kind of centered around. And I love the champion aspect of it, that you know, we all get that way where I know you were saying as a father, as a mom, I have 3 adult kids, and I sat there watching that little girl at times, or even the adult son, going, wow, there's so many times where I feel like I miss the mark as a parent. We can't get it right every time. And it's so hard to deal with. But you have what's so great is you had an adult child relationship with a father that was broken, and then you have a young person, a little girl, and her father. You have all these different generations going on. And I will tell you, it's rare that I've been able to have a faith film that has kind of everything that I look for when I'm watching a movie. And it's hard. I mean, I've been working on even a film, like doing some writing on a film, and coming down to just the financing and putting it all together, it is very, very difficult. And sometimes you get lucky and you get a sponsor or someone that backs the film and it goes off. But sometimes it doesn't, and it goes straight to Amazon. And I'm just really glad this film is out, and I encourage you to people to rent it, buy it. It's just, you're not going to be disappointed at any turn, except for you're gonna get mad at a couple characters, and then then you're gonna love them. Yeah, that's the great part about the movie. Do you see like a real challenge in that aspect as a director? Do you see a challenge in getting the message properly through faith films, because they sometimes can get a little vanilla, it's too preachy. And I think Champion pulled this off. Like literally, I didn't even think about the message, the spiritual message, until I got towards the end. And I think I mean, it's sad to say, but that's a positive thing, because you want people to see the love and the redemption and the restoration and all the characteristics of our God, and let it draw them in like that. And then tell them this is why, this is why I can forgive you. This is why I can still love you, and I can restore this. And I really find it, to me, I feel like the film industry has a very hard time with this. What's your take on that as a director?
Absolutely. Champion, we worked really hard to make sure it wasn't, campy, like you said, just like, oh, here's the gospel, and we're going to tell you, and your character should do this, and now he should do that, and now everything's better. We tried not to go that route. So we really took a lot of time and attention trying to make sure the story was believable. So it was authentic, and so that's what we tried to do. It sounds like it worked. I'm glad it worked for you, and a lot of people have felt like that it has felt very natural and authentic, and that's what we were trying to go for. So.
Well, and a real center of the movie is the power of forgiveness. And is that something that you set out to be, the main grabbing center of this movie?
It is, absolutely. So, we've looked at other films, and, it seems like a lot of the Christian films that you watch have a heart or theme, whether it's Fireproof, it's Marriages, or Facing the Giants, was about lordship and that sort of thing. And so we were like, well, what is it about Champion, Lord? What do you want us to communicate? What message do you want us to share, Lord? And so we kept coming back to the area of forgiveness. We feel like that we've seen so much unforgiveness, either in our culture, politics. Every family can relate to some story of unforgiveness, right? And
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? So for us, how could we help people understand what Christ had done for them and everything they've been forgiven of, and how could they use that to kind of begin mending relationships in their own life? And so that's how the story of forgiveness came about in the movie.
Well, what's great about it is you're giving them a tangible example of someone that, the two characters that, I don't want to give anything away, but, the two main characters that have this relationship with an underlying issue of forgiveness, and the one needing the forgiveness, feels like so many of us, especially before we became believers, you feel so undeserving, and you feel like, I've done all these bad things that affected you, that hurt you, and yet you want to forgive me. You want to bless me even, you know, and it makes
Right,
it tangible for, for people to understand that although we have hurt our God, we have sinned against him, we've hurt him, he still says, I want to forgive you. And not only that, I want to give you eternal life. I want to give you this gift if you'll just take it, just as this in this movie, just take the keys, like what I mean, there's
right.
some beautiful moments like that. I'm curious how foster care became kind of like a, subcategory of like your theme.
Absolutely. So for us, my wife and I were going through foster care at the time of writing the movie, and so
Wow.
so we were going through the training to become foster parents. Our county has, I don't want to say at the time, about 300 kids that were, needed homes, and we're in a large church, and so we got saying to ourselves, why is there a need for, there should be a home for every child, and so we kind of joined that initiative and decided to learn how to be foster parents. You've got to go through some training, that sort of thing, so that your home is a safe place for the kids, and so that's kind of how we just felt in, just kind of as a outpouring of our own lives, and in the movie we don't go into the all the, like you said, all the things that some films show, the battles, legal. What we do try to show is just how someone can be involved in this sort of a James 127 household, like caring for widows and orphans. How can we care for other people? And so that's kind of how it went into the film. And the idea, that you see in the film is that, God's heart is for families to be restored. And so that's what we tried to show in the film.
And yeah, I like that you didn't show too much of, the legal aspect can be so difficult, but then sometimes it can also be very magical to watch the families get restored like it happened in this movie. And it's, not every person ends up in a situation like that, but I hope that someone watches this film and says, wow, I never thought about how many kids out there, like, their parent is going through something and they're not okay to take care of them now, but they're possibly able to at some point. I can take that child in my home, and care for them until they can be reunited again. And so it may, and out of the forgiveness and everything else, someone may be inspired. My sister did foster care, and she ended up having two little kids, brother and sister, 2 and 3 years old, and they were going to be not only put back into the system but adopted out separately. And my sister said no, and she already had 2 kids, but she said no, I can't bear the idea of them separating, and she adopted both of them, and they don't remember anything but my sister as a mom. So it's been quite beautiful to watch them, and just see that process. Sometimes it happens where the parents really do never, they're not able to come back into the picture, and there are some situations like that too. So I pray that there's so many levels of or layers to this film that people could be not only affected but hopefully be reached in these areas. Did you have like a specific goal in mind when, as far as like what you want people to get out of this film?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of foster care or the whole thing,
Or just the whole film?
Yeah, the whole. Yeah, I mean, we wanted really people to understand the concept of forgiveness, that they don't have to carry that weight around with them, because that's really what unforgiveness is. It's this weight that's weighing you down, and it's hard for you to move forward in your relationships with other people. And so, that's sort of the main thing that we wanted people to take away, that this prison of unforgiveness, they can be freed of by begin to forgiving each other and understanding what Christ done for them.
I feel like I did all the talking, but it's only because I really did enjoy the film, and I hope that people hear that it's that it is it's just an incredible. I'm like I said, I'm a film buff, and I review films a lot, and I interview a lot of people on films, and I was excited to talk to you about this because I really just thought it was, because even about an hour in, I was like, oh, I got another hour, like, I mean, literally, I was like, no, this story can't stop here. Like, it can't be like about to cut off. And then and then it took another turn, and I was like, wow, wait a minute. Like, I wasn't expecting that at all. So they did it's one of those where you can say it's a great ending. Sometimes my mom will say, you got to watch this movie, but the ending's kind of might disappoint you. And I'm like, oh, don't tell me that. This has a great ending. It has a great middle, a great beginning. It's just a fantastic movie. And for how can people, other than buying it at Walmart, like, do you have a website for the movie?
Absolutely. They can go to championthemovie.com and they can see a trailer. There's some bonus things on there to see, pictures and downloads and that sort of thing. And then, if they're interested in buying it, there's links right on the site that takes them to Amazon and Walmart, that sort of thing, where they can purchase the movie. And that's all at championthemovie.com.
That's so awesome. Thank you. I know you have other interviews to do. I'm just so grateful that you took the time to talk to me.
You're great. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, we will share this on social media and tag you guys. So if people want to hear more about, the director, well, I guess it was mainly me talking about how much I like the film and sometimes asking the director a question, but but either way, it's been an absolute honor, and thank you for making this movie. I think it's going to make an impact in so many lives, and it was so well done, and just thank you for putting this out there.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Well, you have a very blessed day, Judd, and thank you again for taking the time to do the interview.
All righty.